Hi everyone, Rob here again with another Driving the West. This time, we're going to be taking a voyage that's a little bit longer than some of our previous ones. We're going to be heading from Grand Junction all the way out to Moab, Utah. This is part of a larger drive that I recently did, and I actually headed all the way down to Bluff, Utah on the San Juan River. But unfortunately, my GoPro camera batteries decided to die before I got there, so I only have part of this recorded, but don't worry. We will have more of this drive at some point in the future because this is a trip I take quite frequently. I was fortunate on this drive, leaving the Grand Valley here, passing through Fruita, that smoke from the California wildfires was down. It was not nearly as bad as it was a few days previous. That meant that I could enjoy the views along the way, and also means that you all can enjoy the views as we go along here. So I've just left the town of Fruita, and we're heading up towards Mac and eventually the Colorado border. Up ahead on the left and now in front of us is a place called Mac Ridge, and there's a bunch of excellent mountain biking trails along this stretch. The storm clouds in front of us here as we drive along gave me hope that there was going to be rain, but just like over the past several weeks, my hopes were in vain. It's been really dry here in the Grand Valley as we head up towards Rabbit Valley here. In fact, it's been unusually hot with weeks over 100 degrees. Usually we've had, a week over 100 and then it settles back down as the rains come in with the monsoon weather pattern. But this year, the monsoon just hasn't come, so it's been dry, hot and dry. We're dropping into Rabbit Valley here. This is another popular recreation area with hiking trails, lots of biking and ATV trails, and also some of the best Jurassic dinosaur fossils ever found in the western United States. So we just passed the exit for that quarry, and we're going to come up a hill. At the top of this hill is where we finally break into the state of Utah. Passing the Westwater exit, a popular place for boaters to go into either Westwater Canyon or retrieve boats launched in Colorado, we enter into perhaps the least visually interesting stretch of I-70 on this drive. Crossing these flats, we pass by a couple ghost towns, including the town of Cisco, which we'll do a drive through at some point. But otherwise, the terrain is remarkably bland. Rolling gray, brown hills are actually the remains of ancient sea bottom sediments where fossils can be found. They don't, however, form sharp mountain peaks or the jagged badlands and cliffs of Arches National Park, things like that. So this is an area that most folks just tend to ignore and drive by. However, to the north, at the Book Cliffs, you can actually see some pretty spectacular geology, stuff that represents the comings and goings of an ancient seaway that existed out here on the Colorado Plateau about 90 million years ago. It's pretty amazing. Despite the loneliness of this stretch, or maybe because of it, when crossing this part of the desert, it almost becomes zen-like. You enter into a trance-like state, depending on how tired you are, perhaps, as you cross it. Just seeing miles and miles of desert roll by. The gray hills, the Book Cliffs, the mountains to the south slowly shifting as you head along. It's almost relaxing compared to some of the other driving that's available in this area. It's not twisty mountain curves. It's not deep canyon driving. Instead, it's just flat, and you can let your mind focus on what the car is doing before you're getting off the highway and heading into Moab. This is the Yellow Cat exit. Back in the 50s, there was a big uranium boom in this area. Folks were out exploring some formations down to the south towards Arches National Park. They were looking for uranium and vanadium and other radioactive minerals to try to help out the U.S. defense efforts. And they were exploring the Cedar Mountain Formation and the Morrison Formation underneath it. Now, the Cedar Mountain doesn't have a whole lot of uranium, but the Morrison does. And so there are actually quite a few old uranium prospects and uranium roads that crisscross the area south of I-70 here. And we're just coming up on Thompson Springs. And then the next stop we'll be making is going to be a stop sign at the bottom of the exit at Moab. So my car has a funky hood release latch, and sometimes it pops up. The final release keeps it secure still, but occasionally while driving, especially when it's hotter, it'll pop up. So that's what that stop was there, me getting out to push the hood back down. So now we're on Highway 191 headed south into Moab. On the left, those hills you see there are actually part of a big salt dome that used to exist in this area. Ancient salt, hundreds of millions of years old, rose up through younger strata, and it got up towards the surface and eventually collapsed, leaving the sediment and rocks in the middle unsupported. So they also collapsed. That's how you get that big valley, and it's called, maybe unsurprisingly, the Salt Valley Anticline. And it continues on the left, and it actually goes all the way down into Moab. Moab is a combination of a big fault and a salt valley. Just a little bit more of the geology along our drive here today. Canyonlands Field on the right here is Moab Airport. Despite being a small town, it does have regularly scheduled commercial air services. In addition to that, there's also popular skydiving and air tours of all the rocks around here because, that's why people come to Moab, whether it's to get up on the rocks on a Jeep or go hike through Canyonlands or Arches National Park. The geology that's on display here is really the main attraction for the region. And now we are kind of coming out of the Badlands of the Mancos, headed down into the Moab area proper. And we have finally some red rocks on the right-hand side, and we're about to drop into the valley itself up here. The red rocks of the Permian announce our arrival into the Moab Valley itself. As we come to the left up here and then to the right, we're actually passing by Arches National Park on the left. And it's just around this time up here that my camera battery cuts out. So, hope to improve that soon. Anyway, thanks for joining us again on another Driving the West. And if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.